Hey everyone, I'm putting this video out in response to the outages many of you have been experiencing with Booking Koala, but this applies to all local service businesses that rely on a point of sale and scheduling software as their primary business management platform. So that means everything from medical, automotive, home services, salon spas, pet groomers, law firms, restaurants, you name it. Now, if the internet goes down at a restaurant, they'll process payments over the cell network as a backup. If the cash register at the counter fails, they'll use an app on their mobile phone. It's not convenient, but gets the job done. If something more systemic happens, like the entire POS platform goes down, like Toast or Clover, they'll go through the painful process of redirecting customers through all their digital channels to a third party online ordering service like a DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, etc. They may even temporarily raise prices to cover the fees those ordering apps charge. On a big menu, that can take a lot of work. But even then, there are ways to automate and get it done quickly. Bottom line is that they'll adapt, and they'll use other systems to keep business flowing. Instead of a hub and spoke model, they create a matrix infrastructure filled with necessary redundancies and backups. Restaurant tech stacks are now incredibly complex with online ordering, third party app consolidation, AI upselling, reservations, loyalty programs, and all sorts of various embedded systems, marketing, etc. But they find a way to handle outages and still keep the doors open and the lights on. Now, I understand a number of you similarly built a very complex tech stack that involves a lot of moving parts, more than the average business. And I'm a big fan of what many of you accomplish with your tech stacks and have a great deal of respect for your efforts and achievements, perhaps more than many of you realize. However, if your tech stack looks like a hub and spokes on a Conestoga wagon from the late 18th and 19th centuries where most of your operations are tied to and reliant on that hub being operational, and you have no other hub you can switch to in fairly short time, that's a serious vulnerability. Not having redundancies in place for the most fundamental and critical business functions like receiving orders, scheduling, and fulfillment is creating unnecessary risk exposure. Some of you left Launch 27 due to instability. Now you're facing it with Booking Koala. You'll face it again because these situations happen like earthquakes on a major fault line. It's not a matter of if, but when. Now, I'm not talking about a complete copy of your tech stack sitting idle and having to pay for all that overhead. I'm talking just the bare minimum that is missing the nice to haves but covers the basic need to haves. Even if it's just a Google Sheet schedule shared with your techs and a virtual terminal to take card payments. House cleaning companies existed long before the internet existed, so it shouldn't require much at all to have a schedule in place to keep you and your team current on jobs for the day, for the week, and allow customers to make payments and get their homes cleaned. The goal is to stop the hemorrhaging. Marketing and HR efforts may need to take on a temporary shift in strategy too. Now, what if this BK downtime lasts another week? A month? What if it lasts 3 months? What if, however unlikely, BK throws in the towel? They realize they're in over their heads and decide to quit and shut down operations altogether. Or they sell to a PayFac like Rohan did, and that PayFac takes months picking up the pieces and working to make it operational. Each of you have to choose a date, a line in the sand, a mark you have determined is the cutoff period where it's necessary to no longer wait and pray, but make a considerable change to protect your bottom line. Many of you proactive entrepreneurs didn't even wait a day. Not saying you chose to leave BK, but you made moves to adapt and create alternatives to keep the engine of commerce flowing. So unlike your competition, you weren't dead in the water. The entire call center industry was devastated when COVID hit. They had no choice by law to close all their buildings down because of the proximity with which employees worked alongside each other. Did Teleperformance, Sutherland Global, Accenture, Cognizant, and other multi-billion-dollar BPOs, each with centers in over 50 countries, just sit and wait and ride out the virus? No. They went through a massive migration by means of virtual call center technology to allow workers to work from home. It was one of the greatest and most monumental shifts and achievements in any industry ever done. And the average person has no idea of how complex and significant that adaptation was and the logistics involved in making it happen. But they pulled it off. They didn't just sit on their heels wishing and praying the nightmare would be over quickly. I'm not trying to tell any of you what to do. I would never do that. It's just curious to me now, over 100 posts in the BK forums over the last 2 weeks, I've seen from many subscribers complaining about being down and losing business and begging for accurate ETAs and transparency, which have gone unanswered to necessary satisfaction. Other than the critical need to manage risk exposure, it seems like begging for more of the same from BK at this point reminds me of Pops' wisdom and grumpier old men.
I'm done.
Pop, I wish you'd try the low-fat bacon.
Well, you can wish in one hand and crap in the other, and see which gets filled first.
Yeah, well, this wagon's got to get filled first. I'll be back.
The straight-legged army grunt just out of basic training will idly sit there in a reactive pose and wait for instructions on how to resolve an unforeseen challenge during a mission. In contrast, the Spec Ops elite soldier will think outside the box and work the problem because they have proven themselves to adapt and think quickly to overcome challenges. Which one are you?